Hey, so this is my second modulation video, and I'm going to show you a quick little progression that that builds on the first example that I showed you. It's very similar to the first example, but it's just I want to hammer this idea in. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to modulate. We're going to stay in G here, G major, the key of G major, but we're going to modulate to G minor temporarily throughout a four chord progression here. And what I want to do is show you the mechanics of this. So here's my progression. What I want to do is I'm going to take a typical I'm going to take a very typical, I'm going to take a 1, 6, 2, 5 major chord progression, and I'm going to swap out the last two chords, the 2 and the 5, and replace them with chords from its sister minor key, G minor, and listen to how that sounds. And what I'm going to do is, instead of playing the 2 and the 5, I'm going to swap those out for the minor keys, 6 chord and 5 chord. And I'm going to touch back on what that means, because that's going to get confusing, but I'll show you. It'll make sense by the end of this. So here's my progression. This is the major. There's their 6th chord. There's the 2. There's the 5. I want to swap out these. And I want to change them for the 6th chord of the minor key and the 5 chord of the minor key, and land back and use that to turn around to the 1. So let's hear what that sounds like. So I think you can hear that harmonically that works. I mean, it doesn't sound, we flip out of that major key for 2 chords, but then we fall back into that major. So our ears hear those, our ears hear that movement, from that modulation from major to minor, and we don't have a lot of issue with it. But those 2 chords that I just played don't belong to, they don't belong to the key, and they belong to the minor key versus the major key. So I need to take a minute here and back up, so I don't want to cause some confusion, because I talk about, let's use the 6 and the 5 of the minor key. Well, I've never really talked about that before, so I want to take a minute to talk about that. So with your typical numbering system, your Nashville number system, when you're in a major key, your 1 chord, your 4 chord, your 5 chord are all major. Your 2 chord, your 3 chord, your 6 chord are minor, and your 7 chord is a diminished in a major key signature. When you're playing in a natural minor key signature, you get different chord types. Your 1 chord is no longer a major. Actually, your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord actually all flip to minor. And then your 2 becomes a diminished chord. Your 3 becomes a major chord. Your 6 and 7 chord in the minor key, a natural minor, become major. And I think what you'll notice about that pattern, because we know that the natural minor, the notes in the natural minor scale are really just the 6th mode of the major scale. The pattern repeats itself. It's just we're starting on a different spot. So if you know all of your chord types, your diatonic chord types from the major key, all you have to do is know that your minor key starts with the 6th chord. It's really the 6th chord to its octave 6th chord, and it shares all the same chord types, diatonic chord types. So that's so really quickly, I'm just gonna show you, G minor, all the chord types for each number. So if this is my key, G minor, natural minor, and I pull all the chords out of that for each position. In the one position, I get that minor triad. In the second position, or the 2 chord, I get a diminished chord, diminished triad. In the 3rd mode, I get a major. In the 4th, now as soon as I hit that 3, it's like as if I've gone from 6, 7 to 8. If I was playing in B flat major, because there's that relative minor. But you can see that it's really just borrowing the same chord shapes, just starting at the 6 instead of the 1. So yeah, so the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, which was a major, right? The 4th is a minor. The 5th is a minor. The 6th is a major. The 7th is a major. And then we're back to the 1 again, which is... So you can see that each of those has its own number with its own chord type. So that's why I can say... So going back to the first example I gave, where I say I'm going to play a 1-4-5, but I'm going to use the minor 4 and the minor 5, the 4 and the 5 from its minor key, rather than the 4 and 5 from a major key, and you get this. There's actually a Michael Jackson song that uses that chord progression. This is used in a lot of soul and R&B stuff. So let's look at that first 4 chord progression I showed, and break it down and see what's happening there, and why does it work. So I said I want to take a 1 chord, a 6 chord. So right now I'm in G major. So I'm just playing G major, E minor, major 1 chord, minor 6 chord. And instead of playing the 2, 2-5, I said I wanted to swap that out for the 6-5 from the minor, which sounds like... Those chords don't belong to the major key. They belong to its minor key, G minor. And that turnaround has got some very interesting, it's much less predictable, but it's not hard for the ear to hear. So that's a little bit more on modulation, and it's important to, I think it's an important device. It's used in a lot of it's used in a ton of pop music. Lots of modern music uses these sort of temporary modulations to kind of create some different pathways, pathways to resolve. I'm going to leave it at that for now, because that's I know that's a lot. I'm going to follow this up with a couple more videos on modulation because I think it's a pretty cool device. It's a good way to unlock some different it just can open up your musical palette, especially from a writing perspective, from an improvisation perspective. Anyways, if you hated that, just leave it in the comments. All right, bye.